Hi everyone, it's Christina from Photosprouts here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In my previous video, I used the Godox iT32 flash for an off-camera flash portrait photo shoot, in which I use it as a fill light to strengthen the natural light that is already present in the background. But that is not the only use of this flash. In this video, I'm going to show you another practical use of it, which is macro photography. This time, instead of supporting the natural light in the background, this flash will be used as a main light in a low light condition. I really like that this flash is so easy to use, so tiny, and can easily position off camera, allowing me to work close to small subjects. If you would like to know what I personally like about this flash, what I think could be improved, whether the existing modifiers in the market fit, how to use it off camera, how to use it as a transmitter to control other Godox flashes, or how to use it as a receiver in a multi-flash setup, I've covered all that in my previous video, and I'll add a link in the description below. Another great use of the Godox iT32 flash is macro photography. Its compact size makes it super easy to use off camera. And because it's designed to work well close to the subject, it's actually a great match for macro photography work. Here, I'm using a set of extension tubes on a Canon R50 camera with a kit lens, which is very cost effective, although you can also use a macro lens. For macro photography, I usually shoot at f/16 for more depth of field, keep my shutter speed at least 1/200 of a second without a tripod, and then raise the ISO as needed. When it comes to lighting, one option is to use the ambient light, which is the available light around you, including the natural light. And here, as you can see, the ambient light is just not strong enough, and I'm not going to widen up the aperture at the expense of the depth of field. In order to brighten the image, I have to use a slower shutter speed to let in more light. And this will cause blur in the photo if I'm not using a tripod. Another option is to raise the ISO. This can definitely brighten up the image, but the downside is that the image can become quite noisy. This is when the Godox iT32 flash comes into play. You can turn on its modeling light, which works as a continuous light source to illuminate the subject. This will help, and you'll notice that the ISO will be lower than before. But still, the ISO is still fairly high, and in this case, it is ISO 2000. The best option is to use the iT32 as an off-camera flash and let it become the main light source. Here, I cut off the ambient light by setting my ISO to 100, keeping the aperture narrow at f/16, and using a shutter speed of 1/200 of a second, which is my sync speed. At this point, the camera can barely see anything, so the screen looks dark, and therefore, any light coming from the flash will become the only light source that illuminates the flower. When the flash is farther away, the light becomes harder and you'll see deeper shadows. So I move the flash closer to the subject to make the light softer. And of course, once the light gets closer, it also becomes stronger, so I lower the flash power a little bit to balance the exposure. The main thing that I want to show you is that the Godox iT32 can work really well as a main light as long as you're using it in situations where the ambient light is weak. Because the guide number of this flash is low, it's not the kind of flash that you can use to fight against strong sunlight or illuminate a big space. But in darker conditions, it can be surprisingly capable. And that's what I find so interesting about this little flash. If you can understand its limits and use it in the right situation, it can be a really powerful tool for all kinds of photography. You can adopt the same concept in this macro photography photo shoot in your portrait photo shoot if you encounter a low light condition, such as an indoor space or in a very shady area in an outdoor condition. You might be wondering, what happens if I use the Godox iT32 flash on camera instead of off camera? So let me show you. The result is not as impressive as the off-camera flash version because I cannot control the direction of the light in the same way. And in macro photography, the angle of the light really matters. Some of you might also be wondering what about the Godox iT32, since that one is on camera only. So here's a photo showing you what it looks like. We're Photosprouts photography workshops in San Francisco. Equipment is provided for beginners so that they don't need to buy a camera to come to a photography class.